The story begins in a busy mayor's conference, with the protagonist sitting at a long table surrounded by other city officials, deep in discussion about community projects. The room is filled with the sounds of people talking about parking solutions, new schools, and neighborhood developments. But suddenly, the protagonist's phone buzzes. It's a call that would change everything. On the other end of the line is their mom, sounding shaken and scared, explaining that the bulldozers have arrived. Her childhood home, the place she had lived in for decades, was being torn down without warning. The protagonist's heart sinks as the urgency of the situation hits them. In that instant, everything else, politics, meetings, speeches, feels meaningless. They need to get home. Now the confusion and frustration of the moment are clear, but it's also a reminder of how deeply personal this fight is about to become. The protagonist is more than just a mayor. They're someone who cares deeply for their community. Their work in the city isn't just about policies or laws. It's about protecting the people they grew up with, especially their mother. They're driven by a sense of duty, a passion for justice, and a fierce protectiveness when it comes to family. The protagonist's mom, a kind-hearted woman in her late 70s, has lived in the same cozy, two-story home for over 40 years. It's more than just a house. It's a symbol of family, love, and memories. Despite her age, she's strong, but you can see the years taking their toll. She's the kind of person who'd never want to cause trouble, even when faced with unfairness. This makes the events that follow even harder to stomach. Then there's Karen, the HOA president. She's the type of person who hides behind rules and regulations, using her power to control others. On the outside, Karen seems polished and in control, but her desire for power makes her dangerous. She has no qualms about using her position to get what she wants, even if it means stepping over anyone who gets in her way. To Karen, it's all about making money and maintaining control, even if it means destroying the lives of others. She represents the kind of greed that doesn't care about the people it affects. As the story unfolds, we meet some of the people who become important allies for the protagonist. There's Sarah, the protagonist's childhood friend, who is now a member of the city council. Sarah is the type of person who, despite the risks, will help the protagonist fight back against Karen's scheme. The neighbors, too, are more than just background characters. They will come together to support the protagonist's efforts and help turn the tide against the corrupt HOA. The neighborhood itself is quiet and warm, the kind of place where everyone knows each other's names. The protagonist's childhood home is small but full of memories. The smell of mom's cooking, the sound of dad's old wind chimes in the breeze, and the beauty of the roses that line the yard. It's the kind of place that makes you feel safe and loved. But as Karen starts to push her way through, you begin to see cracks in this peaceful setting. The HOA, once just a group of people working to keep the neighborhood nice, starts sending out violation notices, picking on every little thing. The wind chimes, the garden, even the mailbox aren't up to their standards. The mom, trying to avoid trouble, begins to take down the very things that made the house feel like home. The antagonist's hold on the community tightens, and you can sense the growing tension between protecting what's rightfully theirs and the looming danger of losing everything. The tension begins to rise when the protagonist's mom receives her first violation notice from the HOA. At first, it seems like a small issue, just a minor problem with one of the garden decorations. It's a ceramic angel, something that had been sitting in the garden for years without a complaint. But Karen, with her sharp eyes and strict rules, insists that it violates the HOA's standards. The protagonist, who is already feeling the weight of their busy job, rushes over to support their mom. They're ready to argue, to defend what is clearly an unfair attack. But when they try to intervene, their mom stops them. She's been through enough. Always thinking about how things might affect the protagonist's career, she urges them to stay calm and not make trouble. It's a heartbreaking moment, seeing how much the mom is willing to sacrifice, even her own peace of mind, just to protect the protagonist's reputation. But Karen doesn't stop there. Over the next few weeks, the notices keep coming, each one more ridiculous than the last. First, it's the wind chimes, then the mailbox, and even the type of bird feeders hanging in the backyard. Each violation comes with a larger fine, pushing the mom closer to her breaking point. You can see the stress slowly wearing her down. What was once a peaceful home now feels like a battleground. The protagonist tries to step in at HOA meetings, attempting to explain the history of the house, how it's been there for decades, and how these new regulations weren't even in place when the house was built. But Karen doesn't care. She dismisses the protagonist's concerns with a cold smile, using the power of her position to further tighten the grip on the family. It's clear now that Karen's personal vendetta goes beyond small violations. She's intent on breaking the spirit of the protagonist's mother, step by step. As things escalate, the protagonist starts to notice strange behavior from Karen. She's seen measuring the property lines around their home, taking photos of things in a way that seems more than just routine. There are whispers of meetings with contractors and business representatives who don't seem to fit into the neighborhood's usual activities. The protagonist's instincts are on high alert, and they start digging into what's really going on. What they uncover is shocking. Karen, along with a company called Golden Parking Solutions, is planning a major development project. A parking lot that will involve tearing down several homes in the neighborhood, including the protagonist's mom's house. It's a big money project, and it's clear that Karen's role isn't just about maintaining neighborhood standards, it's about personal gain. The deeper the protagonist digs, the more they discover about Karen's hidden agenda. The company behind the parking lot, Golden Parking Solutions, turns out to have strong connections to Karen's husband, Thomas Whitfield. The pieces start to fit together. The aggressive violations, the mysterious meetings, and now this major development project. It all seems to be part of a larger scheme to push people out of their homes and make way for something much more profitable. But what hits the hardest is the toll this takes on the protagonist's mom. With every new violation, she becomes more distressed, more fearful of losing her home. The house that was once full of warmth, memories, and love is now at the center of a battle that seems impossible to win. In these moments, the protagonist is flooded with memories from their childhood, playing in the garden, eating dinner with their family, the sound of their father's laughter. These memories only make the situation more painful. It's not just a house being threatened, it's a lifetime of memories, and the protagonist is determined to protect them at any cost. The protagonist's first attempts to fight back feel like they're up against a wall. With their mom's house at risk, they turn to legal help, hoping to find a way to stop the demolition. They reach out to their city's legal team, asking for information about the development project and any permits that might have been issued for it, but instead of help, they hit a roadblock. The HOA, using the excuse of the protagonist's role as mayor, blocks any official requests they make, claiming a conflict of interest. It's a frustrating and helpless feeling for the protagonist. All their efforts seem to be blocked by the very people they should be able to trust. With every step forward, it feels like they're pushed 2 steps back. The protagonist's desire to help their mom is strong, but the more they try to get answers, the more they realize how trapped they are by the system. These moments of powerlessness are hard to watch, and they weigh heavily on the protagonist as they struggle to find a way through the bureaucracy. Feeling stuck, the protagonist realizes they need to go outside the usual channels to uncover the truth. They hire a private investigator, someone who can dig deeper into the dealings between Karen and Golden Parking Solutions, the company behind the development project. As the investigation unfolds, it quickly becomes clear that Karen isn't just following the rules. She's breaking them. The private investigator uncovers fraudulent permit applications, proof that the project's plans were rushed and mishandled. Worse still, the investigator finds links between Golden Parking Solutions and Karen's husband, Thomas Whitfield, a connection that raises even more questions about the whole operation. The more the protagonist learns, the more they realize that this isn't just a bad situation. It's a criminal one. In a quiet moment, the protagonist sits down with their mom, sharing the details of what's been uncovered. Even though the mom is scared, she reassures the protagonist to keep going, reminding them of the importance of standing up for what's right. This conversation is a turning point, fueling the protagonist's determination to expose the truth and stop Karen's plan, no matter what it takes. Then, everything starts to click into place. The protagonist uncovers a major flaw in the HOA's official maps. Karen's development project was never within the HOA's jurisdiction. The boundaries on the map show that the property on which their mom's house sits lies outside of the HOA's control. This revelation is huge. It means that not only has Karen been operating illegally, but she's also been using her power to push for something she had no right to. For the first time, the protagonist feels a surge of hope. With this key piece of evidence, they now have the leverage they need to fight back, and everything they've been working for begins to feel possible again. The moment of confrontation arrives when the protagonist feels ready to take on Karen and expose her corrupt plans. Armed with everything they've uncovered, the fraudulent property maps, the illegally issued permits, and the financial ties between Karen's husband and Golden Parking Solutions, the protagonist knows it's time to face Karen head-on. The tension in the air is thick as the scene shifts to the next HOA meeting. The room is packed with residents, board members, and even reporters from local news outlets. The protagonist steps forward, calm but determined, and begins to lay out the evidence for everyone to see. The moment is electric as the room starts to process the depth of the corruption. Karen's face twists in panic as her carefully constructed lies begin to fall apart. Her usual arrogant attitude falters as the protagonist's words hit harder with every piece of evidence presented. The contrast between the protagonist's composed demeanor and Karen's desperate, flustered reactions is impossible to miss. This is the moment Karen realizes that everything she's done is being exposed, and there's no way to talk her way out of it. The confrontation doesn't end there. As the protagonist presents the evidence, the full weight of the situation becomes clear to everyone in the room. The board members, who had been so quick to follow Karen's lead, start to understand the role they've played in her corrupt actions. The realization hits them hard as the truth unfolds in front of the community. The protagonist, now fully in control of the room, uses their position as mayor to push for a full investigation into the project, the illegal actions of the HOA, and the shady dealings with Golden Parking Solutions. With one powerful call to action, the protagonist takes charge, ensuring that the corrupt practices will not go unpunished. It's a defining moment, one where the protagonist takes the power they've been given as mayor and uses it to fight for what's right, not just for their family, but for the entire community. As the dust settles and the meeting comes to an end, the emotional payoff becomes clear. The protagonist, once uncertain about how to handle the pressure, now stands victorious. They finally get to speak directly to their mom, who has been through so much. With tears in her eyes, the protagonist's mom hugs them, feeling safe for the first time in months. The house, the memories, and everything they've fought for can now be protected, It's a moment of deep emotional release, not just for the protagonist, but for their mom, who has lived with the fear of losing her home for so long. The victory is not just legal, it's personal, and the weight of the protagonist's journey is felt in this quiet but powerful reunion. The final legal actions kick off with the protagonist pushing for a full investigation into Karen, her husband, and the entire corrupt HOA board. What initially seemed like a personal battle quickly turns into a much larger issue as more details about the development scheme are uncovered. It turns out that Karen, along with her husband Thomas, had been working behind the scenes to exploit vulnerable homeowners, pressuring them into selling their properties for next to nothing, all while lining their own pockets with money from the development project. The investigation uncovers fraudulent documents, illegal meetings, and shady financial transactions, leading to criminal charges against Karen, her husband, and the complicit board members. With this action, the protagonist ensures that justice is not only served for their family, but also for the community that had been affected by the HOA's greed. As the legal battle rages on, the focus shifts to healing. The protagonist's mom, who had been deeply affected by the constant stress of the violations and the destruction of her home, begins to heal emotionally. Though the loss of the house is still painful, it becomes a symbol of a larger fight for justice. The emotional weight of the situation becomes clear as the neighborhood rallies together. Neighbors who had once been afraid to speak out begin to show support for the protagonist and their mom. The neighborhood starts to rebuild, both physically and emotionally. The protagonist and their mom work hard to restore their family's legacy, creating a space that's not just about protecting property, but also about bringing the community together. The fight that began with one home now extends to everyone in the neighborhood, turning their loss into something stronger, a shared purpose to protect one another. The protagonist's victory doesn't go unnoticed. In a public ceremony, the protagonist's efforts are officially recognized. They sign new laws designed to protect homeowners from corrupt HOA practices, ensuring that what happened to their family can't happen to anyone else. The new laws bring hope to homeowners across the city, and the protagonist's mom, who had once been a victim, steps up to take on a new role. She begins to advocate for senior citizens and homeowners' rights, using her experience to speak out against the abuse of power. What started as a personal fight becomes a public cause that changes the future for many people. In the closing scene, the protagonist reflects on everything they've been through: the emotional toll, the long hours of hard work, the battles won, and the lessons learned. The weight of the journey is felt deeply as they sit in the front yard of their mom's new house. The destruction of the old house, once a painful memory, has now turned into a symbol of strength and resilience. The protagonist and their mom stand together, planting new roses in the front yard. A fresh start, a new beginning, and a symbol of the family's and community's growth. The roses bloom, and so does the neighborhood, stronger than ever before. It's a quiet but powerful moment, showing that through hardship, there can be healing and a chance for something better. The story ends with the protagonist and their mom looking forward to a brighter, more united future.